Get ready, Canada. It's happening. It's actually happening. We are heading towards an election in Canada, and in this report, we're going to go through the evidence, and there is lots of it. I have a huge show for you today. You're going to want to stick around to the very end. Let's get into this report. We're going to start things off with some breaking news. Ezra Levant was attacked by a random stranger in Dublin while he was covering a protest. He was also pepper sprayed by police services. He has been sent to hospital. We do not have an update on the situation. I have the video of him after he was attacked. Check this out.
Active. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, that was really. Can anyone film that? Really? Can anyone film that? Can you please send it to me?
He looks dazed and confused. Somebody just said in that video, did anybody record that so we could get an image or a picture of the person that attacked Ezra Levant? It looks like he might have had a concussion. I look forward to providing everybody an update. I absolutely love Ezra Levant from Rebel News. He is providing exceptional journalism. I hope he's okay. Moving forwards, we need to make sure that Ezra has security with him at all times. That goes for all of our investigative journalism. Rebel News, you gotta go with security. It is getting unsafe out there. I hope he's okay. Now on to our next breaking story. We're losing even more auto jobs today. Holy, it's just one day after another. We are getting more announcement that people are losing their jobs.
A truck manufacturing plant in Quebec, in Sainte-Thérèse, Quebec, just north of Montreal, where we're getting news that 300 jobs are being eliminated. This plant makes heavy trucks, the Peterbilt brand of trucks, and now the union involved is condemning those layoffs, saying the 300 workers are the latest victims of Donald Trump's trade war. The union adds the time is running out for negotiations between Canada and the U.S. to come up with some kind of a deal. We should point out, not only does the facility manufacture light and medium Peterbilt trucks, also Kenworth trucks, and a big wrinkle here, President Trump has said that as of November 1st, medium and heavy-sized trucks that are made outside of the United States will be hit with a 25% tariff. Again, he wants these trucks built domestically within the United States, not in other countries like Canada. This plant has laid off workers previously this year as a result of all the trade uncertainty. The headquarters, by the way, it is an American company. The headquarters are in Washington State.
Unbelievable. So we lost Stellantis. We paid $15 billion to prop up Stellantis, and they're taking their money and they're going to the United States. The Liberals failed to sign in the contract guaranteeing jobs in Canada. Can you believe it? They did not guarantee the jobs with that type of money. That's $1,000 per person in Canada paying towards Stellantis that takes the money and spending $13.5 billion in the U.S. to create 6,000 or 8,000 new jobs, and in Canada, we lost 5,000 jobs. Mark Carney promised strength. He promised that we would be the fastest growing economy in the G7. Instead, our debt is exploding. Our taxes are going up, not down, because of inflation. It's the hidden tax, and our government is addicted to handouts. That's all they're promising is handouts for everybody. Canada's running out of credibility, and we're also running out of cash.
A lot of worries in softwood lumber, still trying to see if there's any possible deal with steel and aluminum with the United States. We just talked about that story in Quebec with the heavy trucks and that company now laying off 300 jobs as well. You know, not a lot of good options here from Mark Carney, Lydia. I mean, we're to a certain extent, I know we hate to say this, but we're kind of at the mercy of the man in the White House right now.
To some extent, but at the same time, let's remember that Mark Carney promised us that he was going to be able to either deal with Donald Trump or help build the country from east to west, right? So there is a lot of pressure on him to get a deal with the United States, but notwithstanding that, he still made the promise that he was going to have interprovincial trade barriers go down. He was going to have big projects built. I assume that's what the announcement might be tonight, hinting at maybe more announcements regarding east-west trade, bigger projects that will help create jobs. I'm worried personally that the budget's all going to be about supports, and it's great to have supports, but that creates a dependency economy, which we don't want. Canadians want to work. Canadians want to have a strong economic foundation, and he's really got to demonstrate how his plan is going to bring that to effect. And at the same time, we also have some inflation numbers yesterday that didn't look good either, right? Showing that food inflation is up, rental accommodation inflation is up, and so that is also putting concerns about recessionary pressures.
Yeah, I wonder, for Mark Carney's position here in terms of trying to win over Canadians and say, look, we're going to have to spend massively in this budget. We already know about national defense, but that aside, in other projects, in other areas to help different sectors in order to try and mitigate the damage of this trade war. Your read on whether Canadians are on board with that sort of thing, that in this moment of crisis, we need to spend in order to support some of these sectors, Lydia?
They might be in favor of it, but at the same
We don't need to spend. We need the Liberals to get out of the way. Remove the 9 bad laws or bills that anti-energy. They need to get out of the way. If they got out of the way, we would have hundreds of billions of dollars flooding into this country. But no, they want to open up the bank account.
Eventually they're going to have to ask, where is this money going to come from? You can spend more today, but the bill's going to come due either through higher interest payments, which means it's going to reduce the government's ability to spend in the future, or it's going to have to be offset by some kind of taxes.
And when there's higher interest payments, that's going to make your mortgage go up even further. It's currently at 4% for 5 years. But if they go and do this generational spending, we're going to have interest rates at 6-7%. Who knows how high they're going to go?
He's already reduced the counter tariffs against the United States. So that's not a revenue resource anymore, which means, is he going to then impose taxes on the rich or increase things like capital gains that he took off the table or deal with carbon taxes at some point?
Wouldn't it be nice if he went after the rich, which is Mark Carney? He won't be going after the rich. Brookfield doesn't pay taxes in Canada. Did you know that? Yeah, he's avoided all taxes, saying, hey, it's our tax system. And he refuses to close the loophole.
He's got to either pay for this somehow, and it's either through deferred spending or through increased taxes. There just isn't any other way out of it. And so once you put it to Canadians that way, they probably are less likely to approve of these increasing deficits. And I think that the credibility of the federal government is at stake because, again, last year's fiscal anchors and their deficit, which was astronomical anyway, nobody liked that. They've overshot that. At least it seems to be the case that they've overshot that. So it's just not sustainable in the long run. And I think Canadians are going to be concerned about how effective is this prime minister who basically said, I'm the guy for the times. I'm the former bank of governor chair. And so he's the one that should be able to manage this. And if he can't, then we're in big trouble.
We're in huge trouble. We're so screwed. Mark Carney's going to take this country and crumble. It's all going down. He has done nothing with Donald Trump. Concession after concession. Everything is worse since he showed up. Inflation is now going up, not down. We're losing all these auto manufacturers' jobs, and he's promising to spend like we've never spent before. This is gonna be a disaster. Mark Carney had a 1-hour speech today talking about his generational investment, his budget that's coming out in a few more weeks. He wanted to make sure that everybody realized how dangerous of a world it is and how in trouble we are. And we've never faced this kind of crisis since the Great Depression. Everything is horrible in Canada. So now he's willing to spend as much money as physically possible in order to be our own best customer. All we have to do is become the United States' best customer. All we have to do is strengthen ties with the United States. get a deal with the United States. He's supposed to be this Trump whisperer, the only man that can negotiate a win with Donald Trump. But instead, he's coming out and saying the U.S. is finished. We're done with the United States. We're not going to do anything with the U.S. We are going to be our own best customer. That is proof that he does not want to do a deal with Donald Trump.
So because of these advantages, over decades, our economy grew steadily more integrated with the United States through the Free Trade Agreement of the 1980s, the NAFTA Accord of the 1990s, and eventually USMCA agreement signed in 2018. Canada's trade increased by over 400% during that period, and our economy doubled in size.
Whoa, wait a second. Our economy doubled in that period, and we want to move away from that? Make that make sense.
But this process, this decades-long process of an ever closer economic relationship with the United States, is now over.
No, it's not over.
And as a consequence, many of our former strengths as a country, former strengths more particularly as our economy, strengths based on close ties to America, have become our vulnerabilities.
No, they don't have to be. Just make a deal with the U.S. What do you say?
As a result of that, the jobs of workers in our industries most affected by the U.S. tariffs in autos, in steel, in lumber are under threat. And our businesses are holding back investments restrained by the pall of uncertainty that's hanging over all of us.
Exactly. Just call Donald Trump and tell him, let's do this. Get rid of supply management. Open up the oil fields. Actually make a deal. Just do it. What are you talking about, Mark Carney?
Our relationship with the United States will never again be the same as it was.
What?
Even though, in this new world of protectionism, we have the best trade deal of any other country, and we're working to make it even better still.
We are so screwed in Canada. He doesn't want to do a deal with Donald Trump. He says our relationship is over. We have to strengthen ties with Europe and China. This guy is our problem, Canada. We need to get rid of him. If we had another leader, somebody that actually has a backbone and a spine, we'd actually get a deal with the United States and be the richest country on planet Earth. But instead, we have Mark Carney. And here is Mark Carney's big pitch.
We will be our own best customer. So the welder who's working on a contract in St. John's can get a full-time job.
And if the Canadian economy was a meme, it would look like this. I want people to understand we will be our own best customer thing. This is a warning for Canada. We're about to become a welfare country. When the government becomes your biggest customer, the biggest employer, the biggest investor, the economy becomes dependent on government spending. That's a welfare economy disguised as investments. It destroys competition, productivity, innovation, because businesses start chasing subsidies, not customers. This is completely absurd, Canada. The Liberals do not play nice, and they don't play by the rules. What they do is they create rumors and get them to spread across Canada. They are actually concerned because they believe an election's coming. Everybody feels it. It is coming. So what do? Check this one out. Coffee Time News. Breaking. Conservative MPs doubt Pierre Poilievre's leadership. Caucus members believe that Pierre Poilievre hasn't changed enough since the last election. Some of them are now actually wondering whether they will support him in the confidence vote in January. This is completely manufactured. I even posted on this person's post saying this is fake, made up BS. Liberals are in full panic mode. The end is near. There's lots more posts out there on the liberal left side. They're trying to plant all sorts of fake news. So I had to post something. I said the liberals are panicking. They know the budget is a complete disaster. Now they're going in full attack mode, spreading fake rumors about MPs crossing the floor, trying to seed doubt inside the Conservative Party. Shills on social media are amplifying it. Don't take the bait. Don't be fooled. The liberal rumors actually made it to mainstream media. Check out this.
So the government have to be accountable for their actions.
At the end of the day today, all of your MPs will still be Conservative MPs.
Yes.
You see that? Yes. He didn't even delay. So when somebody answers a question that quickly without thinking about it, it's nothing. You don't lie when you speak quickly like that. If you had any doubt, you'd be able to see it. There would be a delay for sure. Pierre Poilievre had a meeting with Mark Carney today, and he came out of that meeting with this massive smile on his face. Do you actually think that Mark Carney gave Pierre Poilievre a generational cut to the budget, putting a massive smile on his face? Or is this a man with a smile because he knows the Liberal time is coming to an end and he's going to get his second chance at running to be Prime Minister of Canada? We're heading towards an election smile. Let's check this out. I could be wrong, but you tell me.
You hear anything to change your mind?
Well, we had a good conversation. My message, of course, to the Prime Minister is that people can't afford to pay anymore, that they're tapped out, their grocery bills, their rent is too high after 10 years of excess spending. So I shared my view that we need the government to bring down its inflationary deficits and taxes. I was grateful for the chance to sit down with the Prime Minister. We had a good conversation. He didn't make any commitments. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what he comes up with.
You said you hoped he was in listening mode. Did you feel that was the case?
I think we both were. We had a good back and forth, and we shared our respective views. I'm not going to report to you anything that he said because that was in the four walls of the room. I can only speak for myself, and I reiterated that we need this to be an affordable budget. We've seen over the last 10 years of Liberal deficit spending is driven up the cost of living and driven down investment in our country. So my message is it's time to reverse course on the costly decade of deficit spending that has given us more expensive food and housing. The Canadian people deserve a break. The cost of government is driving up the cost of living, and so if the Prime Minister is serious about making Canada a more affordable country, then he needs to bring forward an affordable budget.
Do you get the sense
over
this is a budget
over
that you can
history?
support?
Sorry, go ahead.
We can take both.
Okay, you go first.
Do you get the sense that this is a budget you could support?
I haven't seen anything, but I've sort of laid out my conditions for the party, and we'll see what he comes up with.
I mean, history, though, is that opposition parties, official opposition parties, do not support the budget. I mean, you just don't. It's not part of your job. So do you know what I mean? Do you see a world in which this is possible for you?
The world would be, it's an affordable budget that gets rid of taxes, excess taxes on investment, home building, work, energy, that brings the deficit down to the level that the Liberals promised only a year ago. Pretty reasonable to go back to the deficit they were running only a year ago. These are the things that he would have to do for us to consider it. At the end of the day, our number one priority is people's take-home pay has to grow, and that comes through more affordable food and homes. The current Liberal policy is driving up the cost of living. If they sharply reverse that, then they can bring down the cost of living. And that's what I asked for with this meeting with the Prime Minister.
Just I'm just curious, after meeting with them, what are your impressions as far as where the deficit might go?
I didn't press him too hard, but the spending has been out of control since he took office. And in a lot of ways, he's spending faster and more than the Liberal government was when he became Prime Minister. Spending on the bureaucracy is up 6%, on consultants is up 37%. It seems like he's got a new agency for every problem in Canada. It's going to be an alphabet soup of different acronyms around the city. And so my sense is that his spending, Mr. Carney's spending, with great respect, is totally out of control. And Canadians are paying the price for his out of control spending.
What do you say?
So why not press him a little bit further on it?
I just want to add, he's speaking with his chest up. He's speaking clearly. He's looking like a prime minister of this country. He's not irrational. He came out smiling, and his responses to the questions, I just smell election. That's all I could say.
Well, I didn't expect I would get an answer to that question in this meeting. And if I did, I'm not going to repeat things he said to me in private anyway.
There seems to be like a shift in the narrative where it used to be the job of the government was, in a minority situation, was to convince the opposition to support the budget. And instead it's become, it is the opposition's fault if you don't support the budget. And I just wonder if you could reflect on that tension, like this idea that if Canadians truly do expect, in a minority situation, everybody to work together, then where is it with all your parties to sort of sit down and hammer this out, or who owns that ultimately?
I think it'll be up to the Canadian people to judge when they see the substance and measure it against the votes. But what I've tried to do is be fair-minded and just holding him to the promises that he made. You know, it was a year ago the Liberals promised this year's deficit would only be $42 billion. So I don't think it's that unreasonable to expect that they would keep that cap. He said he would be judged by the prices at the grocery store. Well, those prices are rising at 4% now, twice the Bank of Canada's target rate. My goal is to bring that food price inflation down. He said that he would make he would create jobs. So we're putting forward policies that would actually do that. So I think we've been very reasonable in basically insisting that the Prime Minister live up to the very big promises that he made of himself. And for me, the biggest and most important promise of it all is that people can actually start to afford their lives again.
Do you get the sense he wants an election out of this?
We didn't discuss that.
Ah, look at that smile. Look at that smile. Does that look like they didn't discuss that? The entire interview we just witnessed smells election. He's confident. He's excited. He was all smiles coming out of that meeting. And just by his responses, he's changed his tone to be a Prime Minister of Canada tone. I'd love to hear from you in the comment section, but this is the most revealing interview I've seen in a very long time. And the Liberals know it. That's why they're publishing photos like this all over the internet and going full tilt on smear campaigns on Pierre Poilievre. They smell election and they're worried about him. How else do we know that we're heading towards an election? It's because of CBC and mainstream media is going full tilt against Pierre Poilievre, trying to paint him as a bad guy. They're still asking him about the RCMP comment. But the thing is, he said if the RCMP did their job, potentially Justin Trudeau would be in jail right now. He didn't say Justin Trudeau deserves to be in jail. He said the RCMP, if they did their jobs, he probably would be in jail. That is very different than what the mainstream media is trying to say.
Saying the former prime minister should be in jail.
That's not what I said.
Well,
that's not
what I heard. What did you say then? Repeat what you said.
Sure, I'll tell you what I said. I was asked about the scandals of the last 10 years of the Liberal government. And what would I do if such scandals and corruption were to happen when I become Prime Minister? And I said I would have zero tolerance for corruption. Nobody is above the law. So if I could, in certain cases, I think there were scandals in the Liberal government that would be appropriately punished in that way. You think of the Green Slush Fund, where individuals were appointed to a board to manage public funds. And what did they do with it? They gave it to themselves. To me, that is a crime for which they should have been held responsible. People have got to be held responsible for corruption. And if you look at my remarks, that's what I said. We will hold people accountable for corruption.
You don't apologize for speaking the truth. I will never personally apologize for speaking the truth. That is something that you don't do. Speak the truth and stand behind the truth. Here's the summary of the House of Commons today, just so you know.
What a show. Everyone's talking over. You feel as though you're in a daycare over here.
Today's House of Commons session was a daycare session. In this report, I'm not going to be covering the daycare session. Big news is the Conservative Party is falling apart in BC. They've given John Rustad a letter and signed it and said, you know what? They said some pretty harsh things in this letter. Like the purpose of this letter is to address the unprecedented level of turmoil that has engulfed our party since October 19th, 2024 provincial election. They go on and say that he's basically caused chaos. He doesn't care about the job. No one's happy to be around him. They want him gone because they see in the polling numbers, even BC residents are rejecting the Conservative Party. You know what? He came out and said, sorry, too bad, I'm not resigning. I have a message for all of the BC Conservative Party. You need to get out. Get out of the party as fast as possible and go to one BC party. all of you go there because they're the only conservative option. John Rustad has brought his party to the left. They're just another liberal party. Get out while you still can. That's it for today's report. What do you think, guys? Are we going to an election in Canada? I mean, even the liberal side is seeing the writing on the wall. Are we going to have one this year, or is it going to happen first thing next year? We got a generational budget coming up, and I guarantee you it's going to make Justin Trudeau's insane spending look like peanuts. I'll see you on the next report.